News Radio 610 WTVN, joined by Sports Director Matt McCoy, and on the live line, the General Manager for your Columbus Blue Jackets, Jarmo Kekalainen. How does the day find you, Mr. Kekalainen?
Very well, thank you. A little bit warmer here than in Columbus, but it's an exciting day.
Yeah, I've no doubt about it. So it's another run at the playoffs. I want to just start by saying, well done. I think last year we talked to you a couple of times. By and large, you were revered and viewed as the MVP. You made so many great moves, getting guys, the appropriate guys, the right guys in the right time on the ice. Brilliant. This year, on the air publicly, I was always like, if you got aces, you play your aces, you keep your aces. You stood fast with Sergei Bobrovsky, with the bread man, Mr. Panarin. Walk me through, why did you stay pat when so many people were talking about we got to trade him and get as much as we can for him? Why did you do what you did at the trade deadline?
Well, if you're always doing that, then you keep moving everything into the future. And if you trade Panarin and Bobrovsky, first of all, Bobrovsky couldn't be traded because he had no move clause in his contract, so that was a moot point anyways. But if you just trade players for draft picks, it takes another 5 years before you develop those players into players, if they become players. And there's always a, fairly low probability that draft picks turn into players or impact players, like Panarin is. A probability of getting a player of that caliber from the draft, you usually have to be top 5 or top 10 in the draft. Those kind of picks were not even available for a trade. So we felt that we had a good group together, give it the best possible chance to make the playoffs and then make a run in the playoffs. We had to add a few players, and that's what we did. And now we're in the playoffs, and we have an opportunity to compete for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. So do you make that move, Jarmo? Is that like a pressure from the fans? Is that a pressure from the front office? Or you just feel like as the general manager, that's the best plan for this franchise moving forward?
Well, I think that the team in the locker room deserved it. I think the fans in Columbus deserved it. I think the franchise and the ownership were all on board with the philosophy that let's give it the best shot we got with the group we have right now. And we have the luxury of having some great prospects in our system that allowed us to give up a few more draft picks than we would normally do, and we still have a lot of time before the draft comes this year and next year to get some of them back with some other deals that we might be able to make. So we gave up 2 good prospects. We keep our best prospects, as everybody who watched our last two games could see that Texier is a top prospect that we weren't going to put into any of these trades. He was a non-starter. If anybody asked for him, we moved on right away, as was Emil Bemstrom, who was a leading scorer in the Swedish league as a 19-year-old, and Liam Foudy, who had an excellent year, or he's still playing in the OHL and having an excellent year for the London Knights. So all those guys are still in place, and they're going to be in the NHL sooner rather than later. And Texier, I made that statement at the deadline, Texier is already in the NHL, and the other 2 I think you'll see in the NHL in the near future as well.
Yeah, and you added, in addition to all that, Duchesne and Dzingel and McQuaid. And after the deadline, there were a few hiccups, Jarmo, but this team finished the season winning 7 of 8 to get into the playoffs. How good do you feel about how they're playing now, and can it translate in this series against Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I think our struggle started actually about 2 weeks before the deadline. We started, or 10 days before the deadline, we started struggling a bit. We're going back to like February 14th, we looked at it. We had a bit of a tough streak there. But it came together, and I think adversity always builds character. It builds teams, and we had to go. We calculated that we had to go 6-2 at the end to make the playoffs. We went 7-1, beat some really tough teams as we went 7-1, made the playoffs, and now it's a whole new season. We all know what the record of Tampa Bay is. We know the talent level they have. But I always say hockey is a great team sport. We stay disciplined. We stay as a team and battle hard. We have as good of a chance as anybody in this league to beat them.
Can I ask you, why in the NHL, and you're right, I mean, you look at the history of the NHL playoffs, Jarmo, and there are President's Trophy winning teams that lose in the first round 3 times in the last 10 years it's happened. It's not that unusual. In like the NBA, it's totally unusual. What is it about hockey that when the playoffs start, throw the records out the window, anything can happen, and it gives you guys hope going into this? What is it about the NHL playoffs that brings about these quote-unquote upsets?
Yeah, I don't know basketball well enough to compare it to that, but I know that I always say that hockey is such a great team sport that the individuals can't dominate too much on the ice when you play discipline as a team, as a five-man unit, and frustrate the other team by doing it. It gets tough, and in the playoffs, everybody's doing it. The compete level goes up a notch, the pace goes up a notch. You run out of time a little bit easier, and the physical play goes up a notch. So everything gets a little bit harder in the playoffs, and you can frustrate the other team by doing that. Staying disciplined, staying out of the box when the other team has a very good power play. Those are the things that can frustrate an opponent that's used to winning a lot. And like I said, it's a whole new season. So I believe in our team. We all believe in our team. Everybody, all the experts are saying they're not even talking about us at all. It seems like Tampa doesn't even have to play the series, but they will have to play, and they will have to earn every win they want to get in this series, and we're looking forward to trying to get 4 wins and moving on.
General Manager Jarmo Kekalainen with your Columbus Blue Jackets, our guest. As the general manager, on the ice day to day, you know the players, coach. Are you kind of like one eye to the future now? Like postseason, whenever that comes, you're going to have to make some moves. So your brain already working on that? Or are you totally focused like the rest of the team on what's happening on the ice tonight?
Well, I'm going to enjoy this every moment of it. This is the best part of my job is competing for Stanley Cup and seeing the team in it and having that opportunity. So I'm going to enjoy it here for the best I can. This is what I work for all year long, and this is for all of our organization, all the players, the coaches, trainers, everybody works for. So we're gonna cherish the moment and live right in the moment and enjoy it.
Real quick, you mentioned Alexander Texier, who came up last 2 games of the season, scored his first goal, young kid. Being in this situation now in the playoffs, what did you see in him, and what did the organization see in him to say, you know what, I don't care that he's 19, he's ready for this?
Well, he had an excellent season in the Finnish league, and obviously that's different from the NHL, different from North American hockey. But he went into the American League, played 7 games, had 5 goals and 2 assists, and was pretty much the best player on the ice every game there, and raised the level of their play with his individual effort and made everybody around him better. Those were the things that we were looking at, and he basically took the Cleveland team there when they were out of the playoffs and pushed them into the playoff picture with his efforts and his play. So he earned it. It was very unanimous on everybody's mind who went there to evaluate it, from coaches to myself to Bill Zito, our associate general manager, that he's ready, and that's why we called him up.
Beautiful. Well, game tonight, are you going to put a fresh shave on the head before the game?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Just leaving the beard on now.
Okay. Well, a man's got to look his best when it's time for playoffs. Jarmo, we're pulling for you. We wish nothing but the best moving forward.